Okay, so if you will, go on a little journey with me. It's Noisefest 2049. There are lights and lasers and Mensa and Martians and holograms and NPCs, and they're all gathered to hear a symphony of distortion from the headliner Heat Death. So, Cam, which future classic do you open your set with, and who else is on the lineup?
Like which song do I open with that I like that I made?
Yeah.
I guess out of the songs I've released, probably Gas Station, I guess. It's the one with like crazy guy talking. And who else is playing with me? I guess I never thought about it. If it was a dream person, probably like, I don't know, like Flylo or like playing a show with Death Grips would be amazing as well. Or like La Sick Puppy, I don't know, like that would be awesome too. Anything like that. Yeah.
That's a fucking dope lineup, bro. That's super dope. And very different as well, very unique, you know. And I feel like, you know, with those people that you mentioned there, dude, it almost feels like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but like I don't know how you do it, but obviously now I'm looking at some of the artwork that you do and some of the graphics and stuff that you do. You've got this distinctive style, like even when you make your posters and such.
Oh, yeah.
You mentioned like Flylo and stuff. And I sort of feel like that kind of style is like a visual representation of that sort of stuff that you listen. Am I wrong? Like, are your drawings and your graphics and stuff influenced by that sort of music as well? Because that's what I'm sort of getting.
Absolutely, yeah. A lot of music and even film inspires me, I suppose. Just like the feeling I get from really sort of like interesting and abrasive music. Yeah, definitely, 100%. It all kind of like the visual art and the music that I make all kind of informs each other. It's all like one, you know, breathing thing, I suppose. I try not to like. That's why I kind of have one. I never really separated like my. I know it's just social media, but never really separated the art and music side because it felt one and the same. At least when I'm making music for myself that like is self-indulgent and that I like making.
You know, it's really beautiful that, you know, a lot of that is combined into one and that you didn't separate it. Besides being influenced, obviously, besides the musical influence on the visual stuff that you end up releasing as well. I used to always see, like I went to DUT and I think I always used to see you, dude. You went there as well, right?
Yeah, I did. Quite a few years, well, not that many years ago, from 2013 to 2017 full-time. And then I was there part-time from 2018 to 2019. But yeah, I was studying fine art for the first 2 years, and then I did graphic design for another 3 years full-time. And then I did my BTech part-time while I was working, which was rough. I don't think I remember seeing you there. What department were you studying in?
I was at the flip. I don't know. I forgot the name of the department, but I was studying translation and interpreting. So that was near where the photography place was.
Okay.
At the Sultan campus, the worst campus there. Like it's absolutely terrible.
Oh, okay. That was okay. If you're at ML Sultan, that was probably when I was still studying fine art. So we used to do sculpture there. There was like the ceramics and the sculpture department there.
Was Lego there as well, Stephen?
Yeah, Stephen was there too. Me and Stephen.
Yeah, I used to, yeah. And the reason why I brought this up though was I'm trying to understand, like, would you say some of the stuff that you do now, obviously with everything influencing each other, and you having studied at DUT, would you say there's any element that you maybe took from there that maybe influences, you know, the outcome, you know, when it comes to anything you do, whether it's visual or the music part of it?
Yeah, absolutely. All the experiences and the people you meet studying, all was I was very lucky to go to DET. I really enjoyed my time there, even during fine art, and then afterwards when I did graphic design. All the people you meet, all the stuff you learn, all the experiences you have, like spending a lot of your time in like the city of Durban and that area is really, I guess, informed a lot of what I made going forward, I suppose, whether consciously or subconsciously without me even realizing it. Yeah, it was a great time. I like basically not honed because I feel like people are still, as anyone making art or music, you are honing it constantly. It's not really good enough, but helped me like form a lot of my chops, I suppose. I don't know, like a lot of my craft was honed there initially. Spent my time spent there, I suppose. Maybe musically as well, but yeah, you know.
Very well said, man.
Since your art and music happened together, which was the first piece that you made from Things Found in Corners?
Probably, now that I think about it, I think Find Meaning in It Later was probably the first one I made, just because I was still learning how to use Ableton, and it was the first song I made that that I didn't hate completely. And it is, I think it's the only song on there where the drums have a stock Ableton drum kit in it. And like, I think it's the only song where I'm using a computer synth and that kind of stuff. But I still really liked how it came out. And I was like, oh, I could still put on there, I suppose. Yeah.
So when does an idea become an album? And when does it become an entirely new project? Because you're involved in so many things.
Well, when it comes to stuff where I'm collaborating with other people, that's really dependent on the other people as well as me. It's not just, yeah, like if someone comes to me and they're like, "Hey, do you want to like mess around?" and then that becomes something potentially. But I guess the stuff that I make for myself, which is Heat Death, I sort of kind of grew out of a love for electronic music, well, like that I developed over the years, and I just kind of wanted to make stuff in the computer, but also using like found sounds, sounds from the internet, and then like recording random noises everywhere. And I guess at first it just started with me messing around and making loops. And, eventually I started to develop loops and ideas that I really liked, or, the thought that, was somewhat okay. So, and then once I had enough loops, I thought, stuff it. I may as well make an album. Yeah.
Do you think it's like almost a natural conclusion for producers to eventually make their own sample library from scratch?
Probably. I think if you like experimenting with sounds to the point where you feel like using sounds that are like sort of preset, like sample packs, kind of feel a bit boring. Not that there's anything wrong with that, because I think people make amazing stuff with that kind of. But for me, I like the chaotic energy of like badly recording things, or like I was very inspired by a genre I found called deep internet or something like that, where like you have to find videos or like audio on the internet that has very little views or is like very obscure, and then you make music out of it. Hence why like there's a lot of the songs have like samples of people talking, and I found like really crazy or weird people on the internet like speaking randomly into like weird vlogs or whatever it is, and the would chop it up and make and add it into like like sort of like vocals in a way, but I don't know. Like that kind of thing, which I'm keen to do more of, like with singing, but Obviously depends on if the sample's okay. Some of the stuff I found did have quite a lot of views, but like only in the tens of thousands, so so it's fine. It's not like, yeah, I don't know. It's a weird genre I found.
I love that. I love that so much. Now that you said it, I realize that I'm way more into it than I thought. Do you collect your gear in the same way that you collect samples?
Yes and no. I do collect some weird old stuff that I find secondhand, but a lot of the time I do also buy. I've like gotten synths where like they were going for a really good deal, and like synthesizers are generally really expensive, so I kind of get what I can find more or less. But yeah, sometimes I will like if I see like this really weird old sort of thing and it's like pretty good price, I will get it and like use it in some way. You know. So yeah.
Just looking at obviously Meagan didn't mention you have a lot of projects, that you're working on. Beyond even just music, which I don't know how you handled it. Like you must be like superhuman or something.
I don't.
But it's just looking at Heat Death. Are there any? I mean, would fans of Black Math, would fans of the Sisters listen to Heat Death and still enjoy it? Or would you say this is more for like a new? You're looking for maybe a different audience in a way.
I think some people would appreciate it, definitely. But also at the same time, it would be keen to branch out into a different audience. And I think, as I keep making music, it will definitely change quite a lot. I don't think it'll stay static. It'll probably always be quite abrasive and weird. No, it's not that weird, I suppose. But yeah.
While we still on Heat Death as well, having so much experience, man, making music with all the other bands that I mentioned, is there some stuff or some things that you carry from those previous bands that you sort of incorporate into Heat Death, whether it be writing, whether it be some of the sounds that you use, whether it be performance elements? Are there things that you take from the previous experiences and maybe add into this particular project?
Absolutely. So like a stupid example would be with playing guitar and like having a shit ton of pedals that I love to fuck with and make weird noises. Learning how to use guitar pedals really helped me learn how to use like analog synthesizers, like all the knobs and the settings, and so that really helps. But even just like you say, song structure helps a lot. Also, working with Duncan helped me learn how to finish stuff because he was very like decisive and he was very like not in a very good way, like pushing like, oh, let's finish this, let's make this, because that was very much like before that I'd worked very much as like playing in live bands, so like everything we structured and made collaborative, like as a collaborative effort, like in the room playing together. Whereas like with him, when we made songs, we would structure it like as we recorded it, sort of. So doing that really helped actually me to finish like and make Heat Death songs, I suppose. And I learned a lot about like how to, mess with sounds there. Yeah. There were some songs there where like I chopped up and reused like sounds from other recordings to make like other sort of like more electronic sounding stuff, air quotes.
Beautiful, man. I love how just you take a piece, of each experience that you've had in the past, the music and such, and you incorporate it into this. It's really brilliant. Would you say this is like the magnum opus? Would you say this is the ultimate, considering that it's all these different elements, that you've obviously taken from the other stuff that you've done? Would you say this is the holy grail? Like this is it. This is like the main thing.
You're not at all. I sort of got to be honest, I sort of got to a point with that album where like I was just like, I'm kind of sick of sitting on it, so I'm just gonna put it out just to have it there, and then I'll carry on and try and make something better. Because like I like it, and it has a place in my heart, but I still think like, I don't know, there's always room to improve and like, you know, explore and make something that could potentially be better, I suppose. I don't know. So not at all. I think even making the electronic music has informed me playing in bands again as well. Because at the moment I haven't been working on any new Heat Death stuff now. I've just been collecting sounds so long, like here and there. But right now we're like writing a lot of new Black Math songs, and I think the experiences from making Heat Death has sort of reinformed, you know, back into playing guitar and, you know, writing that kind of music. So that, yeah, you know, it's all kind of a circle in a way. I don't know. I would hate to get to a point where I feel like I've made the best thing and I don't need to carry on. I feel like, I don't know, I like having this feeling of sort of it's not being quite good enough. So I must just kind of, or like, it's, you know, I keep wanting to like, you know, see what else I can do or make. I don't know. Yeah.
You could archive it and then it becomes like a cult classic.
Yeah, I suppose so. But that's why I just put it on the internet. So I was like, okay, well, I'm not too worried about it. I'm just keen to see what happens, put it out there, and then hopefully, you know, some people enjoy it or not. Because like I find Heat Death for me is a very like self-indulgent sort of, you know, very, not, I guess, kind of personal in its own weird way, where it's like I have full control and I can like do whatever I want, sort of. So I need to remember that going forward, actually, to like kind of, you know, that I can, yeah.
So having played so many roles in the creative process, which one do you enjoy the most?
I love them all for different reasons. Being a drummer is incredibly fun. There's something so visceral about it and so fun. But then again, playing guitar and like screaming into a microphone is like immensely rewarding as well. And I love, there's something about the little bit of violence in performing like very abrasive music that like I find very rewarding, which is maybe a weird thing to say. But I also really love synthesizers and like making beats out of like weird like recorded sounds and random things that I find like out and wherever in my room or wherever, and like, or if I record on my phone and then chopping them up into like little percussive elements like that is endlessly exciting and fun for me too, because it's like the possibilities are endless of what you could find. It's almost like doing a weird collage of sounds, which I'm sure like a lot of people do. A lot of electronic music producers do that kind of thing, but it's kind of crazy how so many people do it, but it can still be endlessly interesting and different from person to person, you know, depending on what they choose to record, how they record it, how they chop it up, how they process it, all that kind of thing.
Will you ever give us an official release of Nothing Goes Back?
Oh, shit. Yeah, I would actually. I was going to say, yeah, that is, I could just take the audio from that because I was quite happy with that audio and maybe zhuzh it up slightly and like, yeah, I never thought about it. Weirdly,
that audio is perfect, dude. Like the emotions, they're there. The performance, it's there. Just do it. Do it for us, please.
I think I hope I still have the stems. I'm pretty sure I do. But yeah, that's cool. Thank you. I appreciate that a lot. Thank you. But weirdly enough, like there are other songs. I have like a whole sort of like folder and folders of like, so all the Heat Death stuff I've put out now was just one folder labeled like electronic beats / whatever, and that was just like that sort of side of that music. But I also made a whole other folder full of like stuff where I'm also playing guitar and like playing drums and like made songs like that, which I would just put under Heat Death as well. So it's not strictly electronic music either. I think I haven't fully decided. I'm sort of just like stewing on these things, and sometimes I like to leave it for a while and then come back and see like how my perspective on it has changed. So if I like it, which some of them I do, I'll probably put it out and make the additions, etc.
I'd like to know, man, like we obviously touched slightly on this, we just rushed right past it with how you manage to handle all of these. Because I also just remembered, I think you're also in Taekwondo sleepover, right?
Yes.
With Evan.
Yes.
And return to Ruhr Mountain, obviously. With obviously this interview being focused on, Heat Death. How do you sort of handle everything, man? Is it a do you sort of focus, say for example, if you're focused on releasing something for Heat Death at the moment, does everything else sort of stop, or is it a matter of everything else sort of still continues, but it's just you create everything at the same time? Like, how do you handle this, man?
Yo, to be honest, I actually don't really. Like a lot of the time when I focus on one thing, something else kind of falls by the wayside, which is fine. And like I guess the people I make music with understand that as well, because they're also doing, multiple things as well. So I generally work with people who are like, have their own things going on. So it's not like, they feel too sad, I suppose. But generally, yeah, I will focus on one thing at a time when I need to. So at the moment, it's because I'm living in Cape Town and I'm with my bandmates for Black Math. We're, writing a full new bunch of songs so we can record. But once we've done that, I'm keen to like, make more Heat Death stuff and even return to Wim Mountain. Thing is though, like when I was living in Durban and my other bandmates were living here, I was in proximity with Irfan and with Duncan, so I was able to work on those projects a lot more and had a lot more time for them. But that's not to say that they're like, just because I'm living here, it's not going to ever happen again. We'll do it when we can. And the Return to a Mountain is the kind of thing where we could do it remotely because it's very that's sort of how it's made, very much in the box, in studio kind of thing. Taekwondo is more difficult because that's very much a live thing. It's very much us being together in the same room. So I have, Evan will kill me for this, but I do have, and he already knows, but I have a few Taekwondo songs that I'm supposed to finish and release, but I've just sort of like I said, I don't handle all this stuff that well, to be honest. That like it is a mission to handle. I don't know, like how it seems from the outside. But yeah, I need to finish those. So I should probably finish those once we've done with the Black Math recordings.
Given the amount of stuff you're doing, I think you can be forgiven, dude. Honestly, I think even Evan would be like, you know what, Cam? I understand, man. No need to feel some type of way about it.
Yeah, he understands. He's very forgiving, and so is Duncan.
Really awesome guys, by the way. Shout out to them.
Yeah, very talented human beings.
So how do you know when a song is finished?
I guess when I can't hear anything that I want to change. Sometimes I'll think it's finished and then come back to it like maybe a week later and be like, nah, this needs something else. And then I will make the change. Sometimes that even happens in like a live setting, with like playing in a band. Like we'll be playing the song a few times and then eventually be like, or someone will be like, But yeah, with Heat Death primarily, it would get to because most of it started with little loops, and then I would take what I recorded or like what I made in that loop, and I wouldn't really add too much else on top of it. Well, I tried not to, because that was the challenge, was to take what I already had and make that into a full song. through like editing it, reversing some of the synth lines I'd recorded, and like chopping it up and like sequencing different beats and then adding found sounds or whatever else. And then eventually I'd get to a point where like, okay, it has a structure, it sounds kind of done, and then I'd sit on it for a while. that part to me is kind of important. Just like letting it, giving it room to breathe instead of just rushing into it just being completely finished. I like to come back and sort of see how it sits after a while, I suppose.
When you say like let it breathe, does that mean stepping away from it and not listening to it for a while? Or does that mean listening to it incessantly until you release it?
So in the stage of sort of like forming it and writing it and like sort of structuring it, I wouldn't really listen to it incessantly. Once I'd formed it, I would go into another track and then come back to the other one much later. Like I'd focus on the tracks that I felt like needed more work. Like some songs came together so much easier than other songs. And then, once it was all finished and I was like mastering it and like making sure it was all good for like the final sort of release, then I would listen to it incessantly just to make sure like nothing peeked out at me. And what I would do living here now, I live like pretty close to Table Mountain. So I would like put it on my phone and have like little earbuds and I'd walk for like an hour just listening to it. Like I maybe did that like a few days in a row, listening to the album just to make sure nothing like jumped out at me that I hated. Yeah.
What I'm wanting to know at the moment is, how is Cape Town compared to Durban? I'm talking about the music scene now.
They're both great for different reasons. I guess my favorite thing about Cape Town is the support, or just like the amount of people there are here. There'll be like maybe 3 shows, in pretty close proximity in one night, and they'll all be like packed out on the weekend, for example. And that's something that's really nice about Cape Town. There's like a lot of people coming to shows, and there's like a lot happening all the time, to the point where it's like a bit overwhelming. But what I like about Durban, the music scene there, at least in my opinion, it's always changing. At least from my experience, it's always, sometimes it might be in a bit of a lull, but at least it's like always in a state of sort of constant change. There's always bands playing. I'm noticing now there's a lot of young people there in the music scene, which is really great. And there's a lot of new bands playing, and they're also sounding like pretty different, and like there's some like interesting stuff happening. And then before like we were playing, there was like Fruit and Veg and like Sibling Rivalry, and there were like the Trees, and so there was like all this like Afro punk, and there was like sort of ska influenced punk, and like there was like a lot of hardcore happening. So I guess, yeah, that's one thing I guess I miss about the Durban music scene is its state of change, that it's kind of, there always seems to be quite a realm of different things happening. And Cape Town does do that, but I just feel like there has been psych rock in Cape Town for a very long time. And I like it, and people are very good at it, but yeah. And there is some interesting stuff happening here, but I don't know. This is just my perspective. It's probably not right, but I like both. Both are like pretty interesting for different reasons,
Durban or Cape Town? You have to pick one.
Durban. Durban.
Yo, I was not expecting that one. So I guess then for you, it's not necessarily all about, the support. I mean, you say there's a lot more support in Cape Town.
There's something about being in Durban that, I don't know, there's something about it that I find creatively satisfying, personally. As Durban's quite a chaotic place, just in general. But I'm here, my bandmates are here, and I love the band that I'm playing in. And I'm very happy to be here and be making music here, because it's like there's, a bit more opportunity, I suppose. And we're like quite busy, and it's been the most we can play together and write new music in years. So I'm stoked about that. And that band or Black Math was like my first sort of band that I took seriously. So it's like it's nice to like be able to do it again, I suppose. You know, like properly.
100%, man. Makes sense.
Mm.
What I want to know is, who do you trust for like genuine feedback on your ideas?
For genuine feedback.
Yeah.
I guess I get really shy about sharing, especially like with Heat Death, because I'm the only person making it. I get very shy about showing people I'm not that close to. So I won't really, I probably should though. But generally I actually share a lot of it with Duncan, and he has helped a lot because he generally gives me quite good feedback. But I think that's one thing I need to learn how to do, is to show it to like. So I'm one of my roommates is Acacia's brother Sebastian, and he's a very talented producer and musician, and like his feedback would be amazing. But I'm also so scared of showing, because he's so good at what he does. I'm almost like scared to show him sometimes, and I have that problem sometimes. But I should probably just show him my work in progress. But I get like very guarded about it. I don't know. Yeah, I kind of like to see where I take myself when I make it, I suppose. Yeah.
So now looking at, Heat Death, bro, where's that A in the Death, and why that decision to take it out there? And maybe even just wrap up the name as a whole.
Well, I guess just because the words are more symmetrical. So, four words. And also just I like the way it looks. And especially from a design perspective, it's nice to have it like that. And like the misspelled word, I don't know, there's something satisfying about it. And also it's easier to like distinguish from, because I guess if you type in Heat Death into the internet, there's I think there's like one or two other artists with that name, but I'm like I think it's really hard to find things that aren't. No, well, it's not that hard, but I don't know. I just liked the name and what it meant and what it sums up. Because if you type it into Google, like the correct spelling, it'll just bring up like Heat Death of the Universe and like all that kind of thing. And I really liked that idea that one day, billions and billions of years from now, the universe will eventually just sort of become static and just sort of stop. I don't know. And I guess that idea sort of filters into this abrasive sound. This like, I don't know, this like, it's not really a feeling of dread, more so comfort that it will end. I don't know if that's a weird thing to say. I find comfort in there being a full stop, I suppose.
No, I totally get you, man. I totally get you. This is one of my last questions on my end, because this is something that's obviously we've been chatting a lot about on the page. And yeah, I mean, a lot of people we were talking about, we just touched a bit on it as well when I was just asking you about Durban and Cape Town and such. A lot of the responses that we got was that there's a lack of support in Durban, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what I want to get from you is, how much emphasis do you now as Heat Death put on support? Because to me, it almost seems like, people are complaining about there being a lack of support. So as a result, they either stop making music, or, move to another province or whatever the case is. That sort of gives the impression, well, to those that stop making music because of lack of support, to me, it sort of gives me the impression that those people were maybe making music to get support in a way, not necessarily to, because they enjoy, being creative, or because they enjoy making music. But it was more like the intention here was for me to make this music so that people listen to it and they support me. So without that support, what am I even doing, type thing,
Yeah.
So for you as Heat Death now, how much do you actually put on, people supporting you? Is that something that is sort of like a leading factor when it comes to you? Or would you say, you would still continue regardless of whether people support you or not, and that you're doing this more, for yourself in some way. I don't know if it makes sense.
No, that makes a lot of sense. So for me personally, I guess I kind of do. I can't help myself. I love making things, whether it's drawing or whether it's making music. I love doing it. So I'm gonna do it regardless of the support I get. I just really do find a lot of satisfaction out of expressing myself, I suppose. I sometimes I have the time and the means to do so, so I will. It's not my main source of income making music, because it's near to impossible in South Africa. Like, especially if you want to make sort of weird, like, more left field kind of, heavier music, or more like abrasive sounding music. It's not easy. You can't really get financial support from it in this country. That being said, like, I have other means of, making an income. So when I have time, I will make these things because I love it. And the support's not the most important thing to me. Obviously, I'm going to put it out there for people to hear, and having people, enjoy something you make is super rewarding as well. I'd be lying if I said it wasn't one of the driving forces, is to have people enjoy something you make. But that being said, I will still make it just because I love making it. But at the same time, when you structure a song, and when you are considering a listener as well, you don't just want to make it like, it is self-indulgent. But I also think about, okay, I can't let it drag for like 10 minutes, the same thing, even though I wouldn't mind hearing it. Like, I also want to, so in a way, it's like a give and take. But still, like, even if it's like not listened to by thousands and hundreds of thousands, or however many people, it's fine. I'll keep making it. I do understand why some people, being alive is hard, and making ends meet is hard. So if you're making music and putting all your time and energy into it, and it doesn't yield the results you were hoping, from in terms of support, I can understand why, you'd feel disillusioned, or you feel like you don't want to carry on. Like, I completely understand that as well. Maybe it started from a place of love for making music, but when it doesn't go anywhere, it feels a bit pointless. And I do completely understand that as well. That is, it can be disheartening to make something, and then it doesn't get any sort of support, as you say.
Very well said, man. I love how you also see their perspective as well, where they're coming from. But at the same time, I can very much relate to your end of things and how you see things, and someone who's juggling heat death with something that you've got going that's earning you an income and such. It's really beautiful, man. I don't think anyone could have answered it any better. Like, it's perfect. Aware.
You mentioned that you chose a genre that wouldn't necessarily be popular, but popularity is not necessarily the goal. So which genre would you love to dabble in, just for the sake of it?
I don't usually like to worry about genres when I'm making music. I'm also just sort of more interested in the mood and the sound of things. But if I had to, I've always wanted to, like, I've felt a hankering to sort of play in, like, I guess, like a stupidly heavy band, like Beyond, just like, I don't know, like extreme metal, I guess, just like dip my toes. Or on the other end of that, I'd also love to like experiment more with like pop music. That would be very interesting for me. But I feel like that would be a collaborative thing. Someone, a vocalist, or like, something like that. That would also be super interesting and like challenging,
You could meet in the middle and try some hyperpop.
Exactly. That's hyperpop is great for that reason, because it's taking something so formulaic and making it super interesting. And that's why it's such a great like genre that's like sort of, and you can see it informing the mainstream or the Billboard. You can see it like I think it's going to get to a point where it becomes very diluted eventually. It always happens. But for now, at least, it's still quite interesting.
More of a comment on my side, bro, because I've wrapped up on the questions. But like you mentioned, staying with Sebastian that side.
Yeah.
Sebastian has dropped. There was this one year where Sebastian dropped this, and I cannot find this project anywhere, dude. I need you to, if you can, just let him know it was a gem, and he needs to put it back up if he took it down.
Was it?
It was like it had like, I think it had 2 songs in it, and he was also rapping in there with another homie of his from Waldorf. And it was like 2, I don't know if it was 2 tracks or 3 tracks, but please just, he needs to bring that back, because I used to play that whenever I went to varsity as one of my favorites. And I was like, yo, Sebastian can rap, like what?
Yeah.
And I think he was in production as well.
Yeah.
And it was just, I can't find it anywhere now. I've forgotten what the name was, but I need that in my life again.
Was he collabing with someone else?
Yes. Yeah, they were like a duo.
Was it with William?
No, not William. Not William. No, is William making music as well though?
William does make music. He released an album, I think year before last.
What?
Yes, I think he goes under the name Kind Heart. It's like electronic music or like sample based music as well to an extent. It's pretty cool. It's pretty sick.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
No, it's actually incredible that he makes music. I met him at like this party the one time when I was in grade 9, William now, which is crazy because thereafter I then met a couple of guys from Waldorf as well. Didn't know he was like making music now, but it's incredible. But please, Ben.
I'm not sure why that isn't up anymore. I don't think he would have taken it down. Maybe he did. I don't know. I can't remember who he was working with at the time, but I think I know what you're talking about. But I'll ask him about that.
It was incredible, dude. Are you still in touch with Matthew as well? Because he's doing incredible things with Sunken States, eh?
Yeah, no, for sure. I saw him the last time they played here, I think for Death Fest. So they were playing with Vovaldenia, and that was awesome. I'm actually, weird enough, I'm wearing a Sunken State shirt right now.
Shout out.
Yeah, shout out for real. That dude is incredibly talented guitarist and songwriter.
Yeah, he's insane.
We used to play in a band with him and Sebastian called Feast of Famine, and I played bass.
Dude, I remember you guys. I remember, and one of the artwork was like a dog, right? So it was like is that like a bulldog, or what dog is that? There was one project that you guys released. Yeah,
I think that was Shame. I think that was Max. I think that was Sebastian and Acacia's dog. He was like a really gremlin sort of dog.
Dude, around that time, the reason why I remember it is were you also part of what was it called, Toxic Candy, or was that just Acacia?
No,
and Sebastian?
No. That was Acacia and Sebastian, and a few other people. And they were very young, and that around the time when they were playing is when we started as well. Like we were very, very young and very shit.
Yeah, like the reason why I know that is because I used to play with, I don't know if you remember Reese Cook, but I think he might have been in Toxic Candy. I'm not sure, but he went to your school as well.
Yeah, I don't think he was in Toxic Candy, but I remember him.
Yeah, he must have been in one of the bands. I don't know. But it was such an awesome time in Durban, dude. It was dude.
Yeah,
like I'd say it's like the golden days, dude.
Yeah, I do miss those times. That was a good time in Durban in the in the music scene there. I did enjoy it.
Yeah, definitely. Before we close out, you're going to get your handles and such, but I also want to say that there's a band here called Scrubs that does a really amazing cover of one of your songs. Shout out to Scrubs. Like when they play it live, bro, it's the nostalgia just comes like, whoa, and they pull it off so well. So a piece of like black math is living on in Durban right now through Scrubs, and it's amazing.
That's really wild to me. Someone did send me a video, and I was quite impressed. They changed it a little too, which is good. I'm glad they didn't keep it exactly the same. I prefer. That's awesome. That's wild.
Yeah, dude, it's wild, dude. But yeah, dude, just want to thank you for having this conversation with us. It's been really epic learning about heat death. I want to personally thank Meagan because she was actually the one, that was like, "Yo, dude, we gotta have heat death on." And it's just, as you heard, bro, like the research that has gone in, like she's put into
Yeah.
this, bringing out some of these gems and stuff. Thank you, Meagan, for being
Yeah,
such a
thank you.
legend, dude. And yeah, I guess Cam, this is the opportunity to then plug, some of your socials where people can listen to some of the stuff and where people can contact you online and such if they want to work and all that.
Yo, so I'm mostly on Instagram at Spam Lofstrand, which is spam and then my surname Lofstrand. I shouldn't be too hard to find. If you type in Cam Lofstrand, I probably will come up. But in my bio on Instagram, there's links to like my Bandcamp and like Spotify and all that stuff for Heat Death, and even like some crap videos I've made. But yeah, all my art, I post a lot of the art I like there, and I'm want to post more, etc. I'm making another video, and hopefully it'll be out in the next few months. It just takes time because I'd have to draw a lot for it, and I'm using this program to help sort of do automated rotoscope. So it looks really weird and glitchy, but I like how it comes out. It's for a Heat Death song called "Did It Anyway," where the girl talks about how she's God, and I find that really hilarious.
You know what? I was actually gonna ask what song we should close out with, but considering that you're gonna be dropping a video for that, perhaps we should play out with "Did It Anyway." I don't know what you think.
Yeah, that I like that song. That's one of my favorite ones because it's just strange.
All right, sick. Thank you once again, brother, for joining us. Really appreciate this. And to everyone that's been listening to this episode, thank you so much for tuning in. All our stuff is on our website, www.sludgeunderground.com. Until next time, we're going to play out with Heat Death. Did It Anyway. Until next time, bye for now.
Lately